Howdy folks, John here from rchelicopterfun.com. RC Helicopter Review Day today. I want to thank the folks at Banggood for sending it to me so we can all have a look at it together, and as usual I'll have product links below in the description. And by the time the review's done, hopefully it'll help you decide if it's a heli you want to get. And it is the XK K110. They call it the Blast K110. This is going to be a little bit different from my previous XK helicopter reviews, which included the K123, the K124, and most recently the K130. Now, as anyone who has seen those reviews know, I had got the FTR or the bind to fly versions of these. So these didn't come with any radio. The K110, however, I wanted to do it a little bit differently. I wanted to get the ready to fly version, which comes with their X6 radio. And this is a basic little radio, but it is computerized, and that is so important when getting into collective pitch, so you can properly set up your helicopter for learning on and then progressing on. You can set your pitch and throttle curves and your dual rates to cater to your flying style and your skill level. I've actually got a whole ebook on that. I'll fire a little photo up here if you want to take a peek at it. But regardless of that, the radio is so important when you're getting into collective pitch. And this is also why this is one of the helis I recommend on my best RC helicopter page, because the value is good. If you want to get a micro, this is certainly one to consider. Now, the first thing you'll notice is XK have got, they use the same box for two different helicopters. We've got the K100 and the K110. Now, the reason I picked the K110 over the 100 is I feel it's a better value. It's only about $20 more, and for that 20 bucks, you're getting a brushless main motor, so you're getting more power. You can certainly tame it down when you're learning on, but you've got that power when you want to progress into light aerobatics. And the other reason, of course, is just it's so much brighter. The bright orange and white, very visual, very easy to see. And micros get small fast. When you're first learning, it's easy to get disoriented, so having a nice bright color helps. Let's get into the box to see what we get. Like all of XK's helicopters, packaging is very nice. It's very reminiscent of SAB Goblin as far as the black boxing goes, and then the bright graphics and bold print. So in the box we've got the radio. I will be doing a whole separate review just on the K6 radio because there's enough to get through just on the helicopter. So we've got the heli box, the parts kit box, and then the radio box. We'll go over these one at a time. K110 heli. Nicely packaged, nicely protected. It's just taped onto this little cardboard plate. There's a fairly beefy foam blade holder in here. We'll just take the tape off here, and hopefully this will come out. There we go. Take the blade holder off. As you can see, very bright. A nice, it's kind of goes from red, fades into an orange. Very crisp lines. It's got nice fat cheeks on it. It's a pudgy looking little guy. So yeah, it's a pretty decent looking little machine. Let's take the canopy off and we'll go over just the general layout real quick. For anyone who's familiar with XK's helicopters, very familiar layout. You've got the brushless motor offset, making room for the elevator servo at the front, and you've got the pitch and aileron servos at the back. These are rotary servos. They're the same as what's in the K100, the K120, I believe, and the K123 and K124. They're arranged in a 120-degree ECC-PM format. And they are, like I said, rotary servos, not linear. I prefer a rotary servo. A little bit easier to strip gears out of, but you can buy replacement gear sets easy enough. Main gears at the bottom, of course, your pinion. As far as the electronics layout, the main control board is a 4-in-1. It's got the receiver in it. Like I said, SFHSS Futaba ready. You've got the servo bus, so your 3 servos are plugged into it. You've also got the tail rotor mixer and driver, which is this here. And then the ESC, there's the battery, we'll go over that a bit. The brushless motor ESC is underneath the main circuit board. And you've got the little bind tactile button right there. If you had to bind it, this should be pre-bound, but we'll find out when we plug it in. As far as the battery goes, it's a 450 milliamp hour 1S pack. And what's nice about these is you can replace the batteries with the canopy on. You don't have to pull the canopy off to replace the battery. The battery's got a little stop at the front here. There's a little ledge. So that's what stops it. So you can't push it too far in. Keeps the center of balance, or the CG, correct. I know a lot of people want to know what the battery size is on these things. They slide into that little tray. You need them the right size or they'll either just fall out or you won't be able to fit them in. Length, let's call it 57. We'll say it's a 60 millimeter long battery. Width, about 17 or so. And thickness, just a tad over 6 millimeters in thickness. Hollow carbon tail boom. These are generally what go. They'll split in a hard crash and then they twist really easy. You don't notice it, but you'll notice that the tail rotor will flex. The motor will flex back and forth, and that gives poor tail rotor authority. Tail rotor itself, it's just a little coreless motor. Wiring is nicely protected with some heat shrink, can't even see it. And there's the little tail rotor blade, direct drive. Tail fin, it's just plastic, bends easy, but it's quite flexible. Should hold up pretty well. Landing skids, flexible. So that's the layout of this. Oh, let's just find out what size it is. They're saying it's a 110, so theoretically the blade width or length from the bolt hole to the tip should be about 110 millimeters. 106, let's call it. So yeah, this is certainly a 110 size Heli. Let's take a look at what's in the little parts box. Yeah, can't get over how good the packaging is. So as is typical with all of XK's Heli, we've got a spare set of blades, comes with a spare tail blade, a spare main gear. If you tear any gear teeth out or cam it out, a little 1.5 millimeter hex drive, and a little cheapy Phillips screwdriver. Now this version I got was the 4 battery version. I highly recommend, if you're getting one of XK's Helis from Banggood, pick up their ones that include the battery packs. The value is really good. You don't pay much more. You'd save quite a bit over buying extra battery packs. And like any micro heli, flight times are short. The more back-to-back flights you can get, the quicker you're going to learn. So having more packs, the better. And it comes with one of their little USB chargers. So you've got a USB plug that you can plug into any USB port or USB power outlet. And then the little barrel jack plugs into the back of it. And you've got 2 receptacles for charging 2 batteries at a time. So I'm going to get 2 batteries going, charging up here. They're plugged in, the little red LED goes on. When they're finished charging, the red LED will go out. So while those are charging up, last thing is the actual radio, the X6 radio. Okay, where's the old knife? Well packaged. Sticks and the antenna are protected with these big foam kind of donuts to keep them from getting jostled and perhaps broken in transport. So stick feel, yeah, it's a cheap radio. It's not gonna, it won't hold a candle to a proper, higher end radio. But when you're just starting out, to even find out if you're going to enjoy the hobby, if you're going to enjoy collective pitch flying, nothing wrong with it. The dial feels pretty decent, fairly solid. It's got a nice solid push button to it for selection. Digital trims, solid. Switch feels not bad. Nothing exciting. That's the only downside, is you gotta get 6 AA batteries for it. I swear to God, there has to be a hypothesis that explains why every time you need to find some baterias, you can never place your hand on them. So we've got some nickel metal hydride rechargeables in here. Hopefully it's going to produce enough voltage. Does the display even show there? There we go. It's very shiny, but yeah, the battery indicator's showing 50% charged. Of course, nickel metal hydride fully charged voltage isn't as high as a alkaline cell. So that's why even with fully charged nickel metal hydrides, we're not getting a full battery charge, but other than that, looks okay. I'm just going to go over the radio really quick here. Again, I'm going to do a full review on this separately. Anyway, the mode 2, you can select between mode 1 and mode 2. I fly mode 2, meaning throttle and collective, tail rotor or rudder is on the left stick, and then my elevator or cyclic pitch and aileron or cyclic roll on the right stick. As far as the toggles go, we've got a 2-position flight mode, so you've got access to 2 pitch and throttle curves. This is just a 2-position channel 5 switch. On the XK helicopters, that's what puts you either into this help for self-level, or you can turn it off for 3G. In the manual it says it's in 3D mode, or just normal gyro mode down. Up is accelerometer help on. This is a dual rate toggle, so it'll control dual rates for all 3 dual rate channels: elevator, aileron, and rudder. And then this is throttle hold, and it's not really a true throttle hold where you can select individual throttle and pitch curves for throttle hold. Just think of this as throttle cut. So when you hit this, no matter what flight mode you're in, it will resort to the pitch curve that you're using in that flight mode. Now, let's see how our batteries are doing here. They're all charged up. I rarely trust these little USB chargers, so I always like checking them with a voltmeter just to make sure they're not doing anything nefarious like overcharging the hell out of the battery. Oop, might help if we put it in the right scale, right? 4.21, nothing wrong with that. 4.22, ooh, that one's overcharged a little bit. But for micro packs, it's fine. It's not like this is a $150 battery pack. So let's see if this thing binds up. We've got the radio turned on. As you can see, it defaults to model number 4. That's what, so I'm just turning this on right out of the box, see how it works. And let's put the battery in the bottom of the belly. And just let's confirm if everything's working properly here. All the stick directions are moving the right way and things are working the way they should. There we go. Okay, so it bound up. Got the red and blue LED on solid. There we go. So let's just check the setup here real quick. See how it's looking. Swash plate is dead level front to back and side to side, so it looks like it's going to be in good trim right off the bench. Forward stick gives us forward cyclic, aft cyclic, right cyclic, swash tilts right, left cyclic, swash tilts left. That's all working. Okay, to confirm our collective range, this is right out of my Setup and Tips ebook. We're going to make sure we've got throttle hold turned on, or throttle cut in this case, so the heli won't spool up as we move the collective stick around. I'm going to go into full aerobatic mode, meaning we've got a linear pitch curve, so 0 up to 100, giving us our full collective range, so full minus, full positive pitch. And in the middle, with the stick in the middle, we want to see about 0 degrees of collective. Now again, this is right out of that ebook. This is how I check it on all my micros. So if we fold the blades together like this, and you view them edge on, if they're producing any pitch at all, they'll deviate from being in line with each other. So when they're perfectly lined up, like so, we want to see that stick roughly dead center, which it is. So that's set up perfectly out of the box. Now let's check our actual collective range. Now for checking collective range on micros, I use a little wedge. This one is a 20-degree wedge, and I use the blades themselves as the pitch gauge. So let's go full positive. I will eyeball the wedge up. Again, this is a 20-degree wedge, meaning that we would have a plus minus 10-degree collective range. And we're just going to eyeball that up. We've got a little bit less than that. My guess this is probably a plus minus 9-degree collective range. We'll go full negative, see if we've got as much negative as positive. And it's lining up pretty good there. I'd call this a plus minus 10-degree collective range on this thing, which is pretty standard for most micros. Let's just make sure we're at 0 degrees now. Let's just see where the servo arms are. Servo arms aren't quite level, but they're certainly close enough. Nothing wrong with that. Let's just see what the collective range is like in normal mode. So we're running about, I don't know, I'm guessing about -3 degrees collective, and it looks like +10 as well. Little bit aggressive for first learning on. I'm not going to change any of the settings. I want to see how this is out of the box. One thing I noticed with dual rates are turned on with the switch in the up position. It shows on the radio there's this little arrow or triangle. When you've got full dual rate, or no dual rate reduction at all, the full arrow lights up, and with dual rate reduction on, you've just got the top little bit of the triangle lighting up. And we can see right now that's quite a bit of swash throw, even with dual rate turned on. With dual rate turned off, yeah, there's even more. There's not really much reduction here. So I think we're going to be going into that and reducing it more. That seems pretty aggressive for a beginner learning on their first collective pitch flight. I might even put training gear on this thing, since a lot of people would probably be using training gear as their first steps, because this is going to be a first collective pitch for many people. Before going flying, which we're going to get into right now, I just thought we'd weigh the helicopter, because I'm sure a lot of people will want to know what it comes in at weight-wise. So we've got the battery in there, and then there's the canopy. Roughly 2.1 ounces. In metric, that's about 62 grams flying weight. Okay, it's go time. Thought we'd do this in 2 different steps. One, we're going to do a really tame flight indoors here, just to see how it reacts, because again, this is going to be many people's first introduction to collective pitch. When the wind dies down, either later today or tomorrow, we'll go out and we'll do some aerobatic flying with it, see how it is. We've got the training gear on. And by all means, I don't recommend using a pool table. I'm just doing this because it's easy. You want a nice open area, so if the helicopter runs away from you, you've got lots of room. So the first thing we're going to see is just how well it's set up out of the box. So it's decent, but there's way too much. The dual rates aren't tamed down nearly enough. That's way too aggressive for a beginner. So I'm going to go into tail rotor dual rate. Isn't bad, but cyclic is gross. So we're going to tame that down. Okay, so I've tamed the dual rates down a lot. Probably too much, what most people would consider, but again, this is for training purposes for your first flights. So on this thing, I've got them down to 30%. On aileron and elevator, 50% on tail rotor. And that's giving a nice, tame reacting heli. But our collective pitch is horrible. A little too aggressive on the up, but watch what happens if we make the natural instinct to pull low collective. Sucks it right down, running way too much negative. So I've got to adjust that as well. I think we got her beat. This thing's set up really nice now for learning on. I had to reduce the power, reduce the collective range. Again, this is right out of my setup and tips ebook for how to tame a heli down for learning on. And most important, we are in 3D mode, so no artificial self-leveling help. I hate that stuff for training and teaching beginners. It just sets them back, most of them. Only use that artificial help if you just can't learn any other way. Otherwise, learn correctly right from the get-go. You'll save time, and you'll learn how to properly fly right off the bat. So we're just going to spool it up. We're going to do some ground hover exercises, just like I show in my flight school. Actually, I'll just get it off. I'll show you how tame it is now. It's maybe a little bit too tame, but for demoing, this is fine. That's as much control as you want. But we'll do some ground training exercises. And with the reduced collective range, if I pull full low stick, it softly comes down. It doesn't auger its way into the ground. Very important. So we're just going to do some ground, skimming along the ground. Again, you want more room than what we've got here on the pool table, but this will just give you a feel of what the helicopter is going to behave like. This is how you get a feel of it. And then when you get comfortable, bring it up a little bit higher. Get it out of ground effect. Go right, stop it. Go left, stop it. Come back over the reference spot in the middle. Hold it there. Go forward. Stop it. Come backwards. Stop it. And when you get all that done, then you can start working on nose in. Just a beautiful little micro to learn on. There's a reason why I recommend it. And that is hands off. Again, self-level help is turned off. Very important to learn correctly. Beautiful flying little bird. We'll do our long skinny figure eights here. Still a little too reactive on the elevator. So I could tame that down even a little bit more. But that should give you an idea of what you want it behaving like. Very gentle, very docile when you're first learning. Now we're going to revert back to full dual rates, meaning dual rates right off, and full collective range and full power. And we'll see you outside for some aerobatic flight. Time to spread this little rascal's wings. So what I've got here is I've got two basic setups. This is 50% dual rate right now. So I'm just going to give full stick movement to give you an idea of how reactive it is at 50%. We'll do yaw. So 50% dual rate, it's nice for outdoor, just general flight. And I'm running about a -1 to +9 degree collective range. And my throttle curve is 0 at low stick, up to 55 at 0.2, all the way up to 70 at high stick. So not tons of power. So you can see there's full power. It's nice and tame. So this is just nice general flight. The tail is rock solid. It's behaving really well. Just a beautiful flying little micro. No complaints here at all, and easy to see. Okay, now I'm going to switch my dual rates off, or 100% travel. And now you can see how reactive it is with those turned off. And we'll give some yaw here. As you can see, the yaw rate has greatly increased. Okay, and we'll switch it into idle up. So I've had to increase the collective range over what it came with out of the box. I'm running about ±12, not overly powerful. Again, it's just a 1S powered little micro, but for learning on it should be plenty. So let's do a loop here, or attempt to do one. Oh, very nice and gentle. Beautiful. Do a forward flip. Nice. Try to get inverted. Well, you lose the feel fast. Come on, little guy. So very stable while inverted. So just a nice little micro to learn on. I think most people will be quite impressed with it if you're not expecting tons of power. This thing is quite docile. Don't expect smack in 3D, but for general sport flying, just learning your inverted orientations, very nice. Doesn't get out of shape easy. Quite impressed. So with that, I'm just going to take it out of idle up, go to a lower head speed. We'll turn off the old dual rates here so they're a little more tame. Oh, it's so easy to see. Beautiful. Nice little bird to practice. So we'll just go into the shop and I'll just give you my final thoughts on this thing. Well, I was having just a little too much fun out there, ended up draining down all the packs. If you're curious about flight times, tame flying, I was getting a solid 5.5 to 6 minutes, taking the pack no lower than an 80% discharge state. More aggressive flying, you know, inverted, full collective range, higher power, getting about 2.5 to 3 minutes. So that little brushless motor in there isn't only giving it half decent power, it's giving it quite decent efficiency. The biggest plus, of course, with the K110 is its overall value. You know, the ready-to-fly kit here with the one pack, the radio, and the Heli, $100 US. You got to realize it wasn't that many years ago an entry-level computerized radio alone would cost $100 to $150. A little fixed pitch micro, $100. So here you're getting a collective pitch micro, brushless power, with a computerized radio for $100. Amazing value. The version I got here with the 4 batteries is around $130. And for even better value, if you've already got a Futaba or multi-protocol radio with SFH/SS protocol, you can get the bind to fly version for $75. As far as the helicopter goes, we saw it was just a great little heli to learn on and fly. Very stable. It didn't have any weird shivers or wobbles or bobbles. Tail lock was good. XK's overall design is so robust. The bright colored canopy, so easy to see, which I think is very important. And of course you can set it up for any type of flying style you want. So you can cater the helicopter to your skill level. And to me, the K110, out of all of XK's helis, it's just in the perfect power band to start and learn on. You know, you can tame it right down, as you saw, for ground hovering exercises, or right into aerobatics. You know, it's not a 3D smacker, but for learning inverted flight, for learning the basics of that, for learning inverted orientations, this thing does so well. And we saw when it was inverted, it was just as stable as it was when it was right side up. A lot of micros, when they get inverted, they have weird shivers and stuff. This one wasn't experiencing any of that. So just really decent little machine, and there's a reason why I recommend the K110 over most other micros. You just can't beat the value and the performance, and it's just in that sweet power band zone. About the only negative I have to say about it is the instruction manual, which is poor. Your 2 most important pages in this manual are the last 2, which go over parts, should and when you need them. And speaking of parts, XK are being carried at more and more brick and mortar hobby shops as well as online. So part support is really good, which is very important when considering a brand of heli. Hopefully this review on the K110 has given you more detailed information on it. And like I said, I'll be doing a separate review on the XK radio if you want to learn more about it. Just getting through the heli though today was enough. And when I get that review up, I'll fire links below in the description as well for it. Cheers folks, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.